Hi, Karl. It's good to see you.
Okay, Paul, good to see you again, too.
Yeah, thanks for
And
taking the
hear your
time to
voice.
meet with me today. The idea here is I just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce the world to you and in advance of the World Gliding Championship down in Uvalde coming up in a couple of weeks. Thank you for taking the time tonight. I know you're a multi-time competitor. You've flown in world soaring contests many times. How many times have you done that, Karl?
13.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. And I think you told me you got silver twice. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got silver twice and almost twice. They don't count, though, I guess.
Well, that's extremely impressive. That's awesome. And when did you start flying gliders?
I started flying gliders in 1964 when a friend of mine here, my aviation mentor, actually, he was a power pilot, and I started a glider club at the local town at State College, Pennsylvania. And some of the early other members were Tom Knopf and Doris Grove. They came in a few months after we started that club.
Mm-hmm. And you had some big ridge running. Was it national record or world record in the? Was it a K6?
Well, my first one was with a K8,
K8.
19, when was it? 78, I think. And there was, what a K8 is,
Mm-hmm.
wood wing, steel tube, fabric clunker, kind of a training glider. When the factory heard about that, they just didn't believe it. It's like their factory, but it was a record. It was good, and the ridges were ideal for a while. It was a nice era where the ridges were ideal for world records because um, we could start real early in the morning, start as soon as it gets light, like 6 or 7 a.m. And whereas most other places we're competing against had to use thermals, it was South Africa. I traded the record back and forth with New Zealand and South Africa and Australia, as I remember. And so the out returns were ideal. We go all the way down to the ridges run all the way down to Knoxville, Tennessee. So that's about 500 miles one way.
Wow, wow. Your first big record was that the one that was written up in National Geographic magazine?
No, the one that was in National Geographic was the first one. But I was about the sixth or seventh one, and it was the first flight over 1,000 miles.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think I think the title of that was I believe it was in the 78 national March 78 National Geographic,
Mm-hmm.
and as the title was 1,000 Mile Glide,
Wow.
and I wrote that article, and it had some good pictures in there.
Yeah, that's a great article. I've got a copy of that. It's fantastic.
Oh,
Did a great
uh,
job of helping the sport of soaring grow and get the idea of soaring out to the world and especially the U.S.
yep. Well, my favorite records have been when I fly with other people, either in
Hmm.
the duo or we had one. I think the title in Soaring magazine was Four on the Floor. So there were four of us. It was John Seymour, Roy
Oh
Masters,
yeah.
and Robbie Robertson. And I made a world triangle record. I
Hmm.
forget what year it was. And the flying with your buddies is the most fun.
Yeah, yeah. I enjoy flying. We've got a DG 1000. I really enjoy flying cross country and sharing that adventure with someone else. It's the only way to fly. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now you're going to be competing at the WGC with Sarah Arnold, and she will be flying with you in an Arcus M. That's correct?
That's correct. Yep.
And
Arcus M.
and you guys have flown together for maybe 5 or 10 years in different nationals contests and at the seniors and things like that together.
Yeah, we've flown a number of times together. We've flown a couple of times where it wasn't really a contest. We did one where it was called the Albee mission. I don't know if you remember that or not. They had this guy
Yeah.
in California had this idea of flying this albatross statue from California and handing it off to different clubs all the way across the country. It took about 2 years to do it.
Hmm.
And then it finally came up here, and then Sarah and I flew it up to the museum then.
Oh, cool, cool. And I imagine. I mean, she's a very accomplished racing pilot and runs a commercial glider operation. And I imagine she's a excellent person to fly with. I imagine you each bring your own strengths, and obviously
Yeah, I think
you've got a lot of experience. She's got a lot of computer skills and things that are a benefit in the cockpit.
Yeah, I like to tell people that the reason I like to fly with Sarah because she can still see and hear, and can work an LX 9000 computer. I can't hardly do any of those.
Uh-huh.
So I'm an old Kentucky windage type pilot. So I bring that to the combination. It's a good combination. We
Uh-huh.
enjoy flying together. She's a good temperament, and we never argue about anything. What we do argue a little bit about, what is it my time to fly? I think it's the most common thing we say in the cockpit when we're flying is it my turn?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And what do you think you bring to the skill set in the cockpit? You're obviously very experienced, good at judging the sky, things like that.
Yeah, that's where I'd say I'm an old Kentucky windage type pilot, so I like to look at the sky rather than at a screen, and uh, and I don't mind getting a little bit low. A lot of people like to stay high and chase gaggles. I don't like. I'll look at a gaggle, but it doesn't look like there's much there. I'll just go by it or not even go over to it. So that's probably a little different than some people like to fly.
All right. Let's see. I was going to pull up real quickly here. We've got a good list of competitors here. It looks like there's about 20 of you competing in the 20-meter class. A lot of big names flying. Michael Zomer from Germany is in the open class. Adi Junker and Ace Junker from the JS team will be flying in the open class and in the 18-meter class. Let's see. I think you mentioned that was it Stefano Giorgio is a guy that you've flown against in the past
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Italy.
I've flown with him against him.
Mm-hmm.
At least at Bayreuth, whereas the Italians won that contest at Bayreuth whenever that was 10 or 15 years ago at Nationals. And I was leading on the last day, and then I landed out, and they won. They got the gold.
Hmm. Anybody in particular you're looking forward to seeing at the contest, or?
Boy, I kind of outlived everybody, to tell the truth. So I won't recognize too many. I'd like to see Gerhard Bible there, but he's not mobile anymore. He's the designer of all the Schleicher gliders, of course.
Yeah.
I borrowed his a couple times for world championships. I mean, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times in Europe. I borrowed Gerhard's gliders, his own personal gliders, a 20 or a 24. But some of the people from the Schleicher factory will be there.
Mm-hmm.
I know them, the boys that run the factory.
Okay. Now, were you the Schleicher dealer for a while, many years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I was a Schleicher dealer from about, when was it? I'll say 1974 to about 89 or something like that. So
wow.
300 gliders. It was a good time to be selling gliders because the ASW20 was kind of king of the roost.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had a 1 or 2 year delivery list on those things.
Hmm.
And there were no motors in those days, so it didn't cost as much money. So the sales were easier to do then.
Interesting.
I still have the original documents on all the ones I imported if anybody wants them.
Neat.
See what they will roll their eyes when they see what they paid for those things. They're all down about $25,000 or so.
Huh. Yeah. Let's see. Uvalde. Now you have flown it. Have you flown at Uvalde before?
Yeah, I flew there. I think maybe 86 or something, whatever. The very first contest I ever did was 84, and I missed that one. But I flew there a year or 2 or 3 later. And I flew maybe, I don't know, I didn't count about, but I probably flown down there 5 times.
And
I flew the World Championships when they were last, whenever that was 95 or something like that. I didn't do that well. And I've flown, all the other ones have been nationals. I never flew regionals there, if they had one.
And what do you expect in regard to weather and terrain and outlining options and challenges in that environment?
Well, if it goes according to the normal way Uvalde runs, it'll be pretty good soaring. You get it's hotter than Hades, so you have to take care of your hydration and your work ethic. Probably most people get up early in the morning, get the airplane assembled, watered up almost before the sun comes up. Then you go hide in the hotel or in your car until takeoff time, about 5 gliders to go. Then you go jump in the glider and take off and get up to 5 or 6 or 7,000 feet, cool off under a cloud. That's an ideal way. But there's usually cumulus clouds on there. The prevailing wind is from the southeast with the streets that direction. And so if you have a course leg is southeast northwest. You can usually make some amazing speeds down there. Usually, we used to say that well, Cotulla is one of the turn points. It's about, I don't know, 70 miles southeast of Uvalde. And if it's the last turn of the day, we used to say that if you can make the Uvalde turn without dragging your wing on the ground, you can make it home without turning.
And do you the terrain there? Are there areas where you really have to be careful as far as outlining options and things?
Yeah, just about everywhere, because even where it's all flat down there south of Uvalde, but it's all scrub and sagebrush, and there's not that much agriculture. There's some airports, but and then north, it's a little more populated up north of Uvalde, but it's rough up there. It's rougher country. They call it the hill country.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't want to get down scratching, below 1,000 feet if you can possibly help it. Or if you do get down there, you better have a field in mind.
Is there the area up north? Is that where there's kind of a plateau, a higher ground area?
No, it just kind of starts getting bumpy.
Oh, okay.
The hilltops are a little bit higher than Uvalde. I think Uvalde, what is that, 700 feet or something like that. And the hill country parts on the top of those hills are, I don't know what they are, 1,000 feet, 1,200, something like that.
And then there's sometimes a convergence that comes across. If I remember from the 2012, I was down there.
Yeah, the problem down there at Uvalde, you have to be careful of, is the sea breeze front. A lot of times it just stays, it doesn't blow it. If you have a strong southeast wind, then that thing can blow that dead air in there into the task area later in the day, or even all the way to the airport in Uvalde. You get that far a lot of times. So that's one thing that's going to be tricky. I have to watch out for the sea breeze front.
And you and Sarah will be flying an Arcus M at the contest. And I know that you own and fly a Duo Discus XL most of the time, which is perhaps the best glider for where you usually fly on the East Coast. How would you compare the two gliders, and are you looking forward to flying the Arcus?
Yeah, I prefer the Arcus for Uvalde conditions. It's got flaps, higher wing loading, and it's just a higher performance glider at high speeds. Although, if I'm just fooling around back here in the East or go to nationals or regionals back here, I prefer to have the Duo because, we don't average just 5, 6, 7, 8 knots back here. You get some days when it's 1 knot. And then a 9 or 10 pound Arcus just doesn't have a chance against a 7 pound Duo. So and I like the way the Duo handles too. It's a nice handling airplane. They have the identical fuselages. The canopy, the seating, all that stuff is identical in both airplanes. Just the wings are different.
Sounds good. Do you have a team of crew that's lined up for Uvalde for helping getting the glider ready in the morning and things like that?
Yeah. Jason Arnold, that's Sarah's better half, is the crew person. He's very capable. He's strong as an ox, so he can almost put the Arcus together by himself. And he's on the ball. He knows what's going on. He's crewed a number of times, crewed for us in Hungary as well. So we're lucky to have Jason helping us out.
Yeah, he's an accomplished racing pilot himself too. So
yes,
that's great.
He's an excellent pilot in his own right.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me tonight. I really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you down there, and maybe share a beer at the end of the day someday.
That'd be great, Paul, and thank you for all you do for soaring. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all your years in promoting soaring, and look forward to seeing how the two of you do in the contest. Have a great evening.
Good night.